The deaths of people on the streets this weekend wasn't the cold, it was drugs.
It's incredibly concerning. We are in the worst overdose crisis we've ever been in with the most unpredictable drug supply.
Colorado conservatives call on law enforcement to get involved with banning books from schools. Marshall Zellinger's back with another story of XL Energy gone wild, a next viewer who kept paying more for using less energy. And the most Wyoming thing we saw today, the warring ranchers drawing on their neighbors' cattle. But this is a family show, so we'll keep it clean on Next.
4 people died outside in Denver over that cold weekend, but we now know it was a series of overdoses. Advocates for the homeless say it's the deadliest year they have ever seen. Here's Mark Salinger.
It started on Saturday at 4:44 p.m. on North Alcott Street near Empower Field. An outdoor death investigation, as police call it. No names, no details. Over the next 24 hours and 23 minutes, Denver police would investigate 3 more outdoor deaths. We now know all 4 people overdosed.
People are dying, and people are dying publicly in Denver today.
In front of businesses, in public plazas, and on busy streets, the overdoses came one after another, all outside. Lisa Rayville runs the Harm Reduction Action Center.
Outside, in alleys, in parks, and in business bathrooms. It used to be cops coming up on people overdosing. Now it's 17-year-old baristas. 4
outdoor deaths in one day may seem like a lot, but the Denver Department of Public Health says it's become normal. They say this weekend was similar to every other weekend this month.
It's incredibly concerning. We are in the worst overdose crisis we've ever been in with the most unpredictable drug supply.
Most of the time they are homeless if it's an outdoor death, and it's not a suspicious death.
At homeless camps in Denver today, Amy Beck searched for answers. As an advocate with Together Denver, she knows outdoor overdoses happen often in the homeless community. 260 people living on the streets have died in Denver so far this year. 170 of those have been overdoses.
Sometimes substance use is the coping mechanism that people use to stay warm. And so if we were to offer them a warm place to be, rather than on the streets, perhaps they wouldn't overdose.
While we don't yet know for sure if the 4 who died this weekend were homeless, Lisa knows the reality of living on the street. She works with them every day.
We have had the most unhoused people have died in Denver this year already than ever before. Overdose is the leading cause of death of our unhoused neighbors in Denver and has been for the last 7 years. So you can't talk about homelessness without talking about the overdose crisis.
Denver City Council voted in 2018 to allow a supervised drug use site. The goal was to give people who are going to do drugs regardless a safe place to do them inside. That project never took off, and earlier this year, Colorado Democrats killed a bill that would have allowed safe injection sites around the state. Advocates like Lisa argue that approach is the only way to stop people from overdosing in the streets, Kyle, just like we saw this weekend.
I mean, they certainly look at the numbers year to year. They know the anecdotes because sometimes they know folks personally. They know their circumstances.
Right. And just how bad are those numbers? If you compare us to last year, we still have a month left in this year. We have already surpassed the number of overdoses that we saw in the entirety of last year. Go back to 2019, we're at more than double from just 4 years ago.
All right, Mark Salinger, thank you. So we've just learned that Nathan Woodyard, the Aurora police officer acquitted for his role in the death of Elijah McClain, is going back to work for APD. McClain had done nothing wrong the night that Woodyard stopped him in August of 2019. Somebody called 911 saying that McClain looked sketchy. A jury recently acquitted Woodyard of reckless manslaughter. Aurora PD told us today Woodyard is no longer suspended. He's going to go through what they call a reintegration process, educating Woodyard on all the policies and changes that have taken effect while he was on leave. Many of those changes a direct result of the legal consent decree that came about as a result of Elijah McClain's death. For now, the city says Woodyard is on restricted duty. He's not in a uniform, will not have contact with the public. Once Woodyard finishes the reintegration process, Aurora says the chief could reassign him to a different role. The former CU visiting scholar who tried to overturn the 2020 election is now asking to go on trial separately from his old boss, Donald Trump. Former Trump attorney John Eastman is asking prosecutors in Georgia to speed up the cases for Trump's 13 co-defendants. Prosecutors have previously said that they want to try Trump along with his co-defendants, one big group starting next August. They projected those hearings could last through early 2025. Today, Eastman filed a motion for a judge to split the defendants into different groups and to do all the trials except Trump's in 2024. Eastman says that Trump is slowing down the proceedings given his security arrangements and the fact that he's on track to be the Republican Party's presidential nominee. Eastman is looking at 9 charges, including racketeering for that Georgia election interference case. Eastman still maintains that the 2020 election was stolen. And these days, he's representing the Colorado Republican Party in their legal fight to end open primaries. A group of prominent conservatives in Colorado are trying to get law enforcement involved in banning certain books from schools. An advocacy group called Take Back D20 has flagged hundreds of books in school libraries in El Paso and Teller counties. They say that those books include, quote-unquote, debased topics, racism, sexism, LGBTQ issues. This advocacy group says the books violate state and federal obscenity laws because they include sexual content. So they want that man, Republican District Attorney Michael Allen, to get involved. The petition also includes this letter from Republican State Representative Rose Pugliese. She says she's concerned that the books in question are not suitable for students. Her letter does note she hasn't actually read the books. The conservative advocacy group claims to have the signed support of 3 state legislators, the El Paso County Republican Party, and former gubernatorial candidate Heidi Gunnall. We reached out to DA Allen today, have not heard back. She pointed out both federal and state obscenity laws stress that works should be evaluated for their value in whole, not just individual instances of sexual content. The Dovecote School Board president is leaving, but not before he selects the next president, which will help his fellow conservatives hold their majority on that school board. Board President Mike Peterson told his board colleagues that he will resign by the end of the year. Board emails indicate that Peterson has sold his home, but has a rental which will allow him to keep his seat until he formally resigns. Director David Ray, member of the board minority, has asked President Peterson to abstain from voting on the new board president soon. That person will likely be the tiebreaker on the board when they pick Peterson's replacement. Peterson's time in office has been marked by a hefty settlement for a superintendent they fired without cause, and legal losses for illegal meetings and for violating Colorado open records law by withholding public documents. Conserving energy is supposed to lower your bill, right? Common sense, huh? Turn down the heat, don't use the AC, you will not pay for as much on your XL bill. Except in the case of an ex-viewer, Joanna in Highlands Ranch, who discovered that no matter how little she used, her bill went up. She knew just who to ask for help with an XL mystery. Not XL. You kidding me? She asked Marshall Zellinger.
So I just wrote, Dear Excel person.
Since electric smart meters do not have to be read in person, Excel may never see the note Joanna Benink left taped on hers.
I talked to them over a year ago without any resolution.
Her issue is not with the meter itself. The number on the meter matches the number on her bill. The number she does not believe matches is the number she is charged every month.
In August, I was gone on a cruise, and I was gone for about 28 days. And I came back, and my bill was higher than when I was here.
So after comparing some recent bills with her neighbor, together they went full Nancy Drew.
That's when I decided to turn off my main breaker for 8 hours. This is me. The kilowatt hours is 44.21, and then it went up to 44.22, even though my breaker was off.
While documenting the kilowatt hour numbers on the meters, they saw her neighbor's meter frozen.
2049, 2049, 2049. And then as soon as I turned on my breaker and the air conditioner, it went up to 2051. So that's all in this letter that I have taped to my meter to help whoever came in to see that something's jacked up.
So we've reached the part of the story where I'm supposed to tell you Excel comes out to help.
They said I would have to hire an electrician to come in here and check out the wiring because it has nothing to do with Excel.
In a statement, an Excel spokesman basically said the same. Joanna, or the HOA, should hire a licensed electrician to investigate.
What I want them to do is come here and realize that the meters are switched from my next door neighbors. Then they can verify what I have confirmed 100% so that they can reimburse me what I've been paying for almost 3 years.
About that reimbursement, I've received a couple of answers from the Public Utilities Commission and from Xcel. But first, why does Xcel say this is not the company's problem? I'll show you demonstrating here in our photographer's area because there happens to be a string hanging from the ceiling that acts like a power line. So if it's a power line issue, that's Xcel's responsibility, all the way to the meter, which would be Xcel's responsibility according to the company. But from the meter to the home where the wiring is, Xcel says that's why it's a customer problem. A spokeswoman with the Public Utilities Commission tells me that problems like this should be addressed by Xcel. Also, that whole issue of reimbursement if you're overbilled. We've done a previous story where if that happened for up to 2 years, or you get up to 2 years worth of reimbursement for overbilling, the PUC says Xcel should honor that policy. Xcel so far says because it's a customer issue, Kyle, it's not part of that policy.
So again, meter, Xcel's responsibility, the wires that go into the back of the meter, not their responsibility.
Correct, and that you would need a licensed electrician to come look at this because they have the permission from Xcel, but they're supposed to also pull a permit and notify Xcel that they're going to do the work, which who knows if that really happens or not, but I don't know. We're going to find out. If there's a complaint with the PUC is going to follow up and make sure that the customer is taken care of. All right.
Again, it's astonishing that you still have power at your home. Marshall Zellinger, thank you. There are seniors on a wait list for Meals on Wheels on the Western Slope. Although there are fewer of them on that wait list than there were a week ago because of your latest Word of Thanks microgiving campaign. You raised $32,000 for Mesa County Meals on Wheels. That is money that is directly going to go to clearing the wait list. They're going to be able to call seniors and tell them, you're in, you get meals for the whole next year. This is how you make an impact, and you've done it everywhere in Colorado with your $11.6 million raised since 2020. If you know of a cause that could use our help, email those ideas to me, next at 9news.com. A truck driver charged with killing 5 people in a crash has his trial delayed because a key witness is missing. And every student at North Glen High School showed up to the science fair today without a project. That's cool because they're not competing, they're judging. The criminal trial for the truck driver accused of killing 5 people in a crash in Weld County is supposed to start this month. That's now delayed because the owner of the trucking company is on the run. Court documents say that business owner, Carlos Correas Orujo, is the only person with access to certain records needed in that case. It's one of his employees who is driving the truck and charged with 5 counts of vehicular homicide. Defense attorneys say Correas Orujo is actively avoiding service of legal documents that would require him to appear in court. The filing argues that he could be held responsible for allowing his trucks to be on the road with faulty brakes and no insurance. The company tried to buy insurance 1 hour after their truck slammed into a car on I-25, killing 5 people. At this point, criminal trial has been delayed until at least March. At least March is when we may finally have decent snowpack in this state, Chris Bianchi. It is not looking super.
It's not, Kyle, and I think this is kind of an underrated story at this point of the season. I would say this is the way to look at it. We're roughly, if you're at a Rockies game, this would be like the Rockies being down 3-0 in the second inning. So we're not that deep into the game, into the season at this point, but these snowpack numbers, they're not good. We need the snow in the mountains, and we're going to get some later on in the week, but this is even after our most recent snowstorm, and the snowpack across the state not in good shape at this point in the season. That said, low temperature this morning here in Denver. We did drop down to 10 degrees, our coldest morning so far this winter season. Temperatures today, though, we rebounded pretty nicely, 43 for us in Denver. Our average high for today, 48 degrees, only a few degrees below average. But we've got a lot of sunshine in store for that future cast into your day tomorrow. So end-to-end sunshine again for both tomorrow and into your Wednesday. That means we'll rebound pretty nicely. We'll be in the low to mid 50s for us here around the metro area. Lots of sunshine, as I mentioned, and light winds as well. That'll make it feel pretty nice outside. But then by the end of the week, that's when we see some changes, and there's some of that mountain snowfall I was talking about. We need the snow, so kind of do your snow dances. We certainly need that snow, again, from the Continental Divide on west. At this point, it looks like the San Juans and the Sangre Cristo Mountains, the southern mountains, will end up with the highest totals from the snowstorm. Maybe a few flakes here in town. Not a big deal if we do see any snowfall, but at this point, it looks like we'll be certainly on the colder side for both Thursday and Friday. Mostly cloudy skies. Again, can't rule out some flakes, and then we dry out and warm up for next weekend.
It's been really fun. Yeah, I love talking about my science, so yeah, I always have fun doing that.
College students crashed a high school science fair to present their own projects and maybe recruit some future researchers. That's next. Science fairs are such fun for the kids and for their parents who have to stay up late actually doing the projects. But both got a break in Adams County today because the students were the science fair judges. It was CU grad students doing the presenting. Here's Byron Reed with that.
Part of the inspiration is
connecting with high schoolers can be stressful, especially when you're in college trying to explain your work.
Oh, my name tag. I have work that focuses on immunology, and with the Barbie movie hype, we thought it would be funny that I could be an immunology Barbie. Different mesh sizes.
Nicole Day is a third-year PhD candidate at CU Boulder who's talking to Northglenn High School students about her research in bioengineering.
We are trying to work on our science communication and be able to disseminate our research to an audience that hasn't heard about this kind of stuff before.
She's one of the graduate students from CU Boulder taking part in the school's first ever reverse science fair. Grad students present their research. High schoolers serve as the judges.
Yeah, maybe they think like, oh, that could be me in a couple years. And that's sort of the goal of what we're doing here, is trying to show them that this could be you.
And to get a sense of the diversity of science that's happening across our campus, that hopefully these seniors in high school might be inspired to take on themselves one day.
Alex Rose is with CU Science Discovery, who helped create the event. She says the science fair is a chance for high schoolers to learn from younger STEM field scientists.
This is an idea that I had in conjunction with Dr. Wyatt Shields as a way to encourage our graduate students from CU Boulder to take time to think about what they could teach high school students about their research.
If CD86 is higher,
the hope is that these high schoolers will discover a passion for science, making it easier for grad students like Nicole to connect with or without a name tag.
Women are typically underrepresented in STEM, and so that's something that I'm eager to show too, that I'm here and having a great time, and hopefully students can see that too.
For Next.
Okay, great. Thanks so much.
I'm Byron Reed.
We will have your feedback and the most Wyoming thing we saw today. It involves cows, and I won't ruin it. I'm going to tell you next. The most Wyoming thing we saw today is a range war involving a very unusual brand. The Cowboy State Daily reports that charges have been dropped against the father and son ranchers who retaliated against a neighbor whose cows got loose by drawing penises on them with bleach. And not just one or two cows, 189 animals like the one seen here. No, this is not one of the genitalia cows. These are unharmed cows. The judge will allow prosecutors in Crook County to bring this case again if additional evidence is found. This was not exactly a real whodunit. The ranchers admitted to this. They said they wanted their neighbor to fix his fence and contain his cattle. Judge apparently did not find evidence that that Sneaky D brand was a violation of the penal code. Scott wrote in, we were talking about this on social media earlier today, said, heck of a brand you got there. So apparently this court case was about the loss of value of the cattle. Like, they were worth less with the brand on them. Like, if you can't sell a cowhide that has a giant phallus on it, I feel like you lack imagination. Like, the kids would definitely buy that kind of thing. Jack writes in to say, Kyle is a slimy, weird eye MFer. Well, slimy, sure. Wait, there's an eye thing going on? You can make me self-conscious, man. Robert says, you look fantastic. It's easy to see you're interviewing for another job. I'm open to your suggestions. You know how to reach me. See you next time.